Last video tonight involving the Cavaliers, ladies and gentlemen, is what the players that the Cavaliers could be targeting this offseason, what their free agency plans are. Link is in the description in a recent podcast by my coworker Michael Scotto at HoopsHype. Go check it out. Links in the description. He had Cavaliers beat writer Chris Fedor join him, and this is a couple of players that they did discuss. I also just realized that what they discussed was the potential of, players that they could add, and Evan Mobley's extension as well as Isaac Okoro's extension. So Fedor highlights the focus of, the new coach, which seems like it's going to be James Borrego, can have on the team's scheme. Now, the key question is how they're going to maximize the pairing of Mitchell and Mobley and then find ways to effectively utilize Allen and Garland with those. As Garland had a challenging and disappointing season for various reasons, Mobley didn't make the leap that the Cavs fans were hoping for. The team needs to see if they can extract more from Mobley as a 4 or a 5 on the offensive end to improve organically. The Cavaliers are looking to add more shooting. They are targeting a stretch forward, kind of like a 3-4 combo forward who can play in the 7th to 8th rotation spot. Someone to improve over George Niang. No offense, George, I love you. Scotto notes that Isaac Okoro is eligible for an $11.8 million qualifying offer, making him a restricted free agent this summer. If Cleveland doesn't offer him a multi-year deal above the mid-level exception, which is around $15 million annually, he might accept the qualifying offer, do a 1-year prove-it deal, and enter unrestricted free agency next summer. The key question is whether Okoro can secure an offer sheet above the mid-level exception this summer and how much Cleveland would be willing to offer him, considering the fact that they'll have some future salary cap constraints. I see Okoro getting a similar deal to Mr. Matisse Thybulle. What was it, 3 years, $35 million? I feel like that's a very valuable deal for him, especially if he does continue to be an efficient player, albeit on offense. He does shoot at a low volume, but it is efficient. Now, Fedor points out that Cavaliers have, in many ways, outgrown Okoro. They have developed faster than he has. When they drafted him in 2020, the organization was in a different place, and they could take a gamble on someone raw and young, filled with untapped offensive potential. Their timeline accelerated once they acquired Donovan Mitchell and pushing Okoro down the pecking order offensively and making him more kind of a defensive maestro. While they see the value in him and they like him, quantifying the value of that guy is challenging, especially when salary cap constraints are in play. As a restricted free agent, they could use leverage and is willing to use it. The system's protected teams like the Cavaliers from losing players. The question is the money to offer more than mid-level exception to Okoro by another team might not be worth it for them to match. He's a defensive first player who gives a great effort on defense, but a lot of those guys are now easier to find in the NBA, and teams are more willing to pay for shooters and floor spacers who can play defense rather than just guys who can play multiple positions and are just defensive minded. They want guys who can play multiple positions, are two-way guys, and can shoot and space the floor. Fedor doesn't think any team will make an offer above the mid-level exception that would concern the Cavaliers. If someone were to offer the mid-level exception, matching it would be easy with the Cavaliers. They have a lot of leverage in this situation. Scotto then brings up Evan Mobley getting a max extension. Some expected more growth from Mobley. Typically, players picked that high get a max extension. Mobley hasn't played like a max player yet, but teams often sign someone to a max extension based on potential growth and the expectation that another team would offer a similar deal if he hits restricted free agency. Fedor predicts that the Cavaliers will offer Mobley a max extension, and he'll accept it. While he hasn't reached that level yet, the organization strongly believes that Mobley, as a player and a person, can get there. They have been very public about the praise for him since drafting him 3rd overall in 2021, and they recognize that he's already one of the best defensive players in the league and that he could become that unicorn-type player they envision on offense. They won't hesitate to offer him the max extension, projecting him to become one of the most important elite two-way front-court players in the entire NBA. And I think that's the whole thing is, like, can they maximize that, or can that actually really happen? And if it is, I mean, they've been saying they got him. They got a guy, and they should feel good about that. Now, how much more we need to see to fully feel convinced? Because it definitely is interesting to see how it's all played out. But that's going to be my thoughts for this. Like, comment, subscribe.